l'chayavim toivus. So he says, and the one whose redemption is we're celebrating. In other words, it's a mimer of the Balagula, even though like the Rebbe is saying this on Chaf Aleph on the 21st. So the 21st of Tammuz was like quite a ways afterwards. But the Rebbe is still calling it Balagula. The Maimer Baruch HaGomel, the Maimer titled Baruch HaGomel, we need to understand why is this nusach of the bracha that a person makes, the bracha of HaGomel, why is it different than the bracha what one makes for miracles? The Birchas HaNisim Maimer Baruch Shasli Nes, when it comes to a bracha that you make on a miracle, you say, Baruch that he made for me a miracle. For example, when a person comes to a location that he experienced a miracle, he visits it again, so that he makes bracha Baruch Shasli Nes Makmazeh. He thanks Hashem that he made for me a miracle in this place, in this location. He doesn't mention in his bracha any type of fault or negative or liability for himself. In other words, he doesn't mention in a bracha of the miracle anything about finding some type of fault about himself, some type of liability about himself, that because of my faults, that's why I was in danger, heaven forbid. But over here, in the bracha of the Gomel, he himself admits that he was liable, if not physically, spiritually, in the danger that he went through. We don't say that by the Birchas HaNisim that I was liable, top of page Vav, and the Eibishter made a miracle for him. Rather, Mash'enkim b'bracha was opposed to this bracha when it comes to the bracha of HaGomel. Omer HaGomel chayom toivus, he says, the one that does kindness to a person that's liable, shemasker chayv la'atzma, he mentions liability and fault and negative about himself. He himself admits that he is the one that's liable for this. Rather, it's out of Hashem's kindness, and that is the ways of Hashem. That Hashem, his ways is so kind that even those that are liable for bad to happen to them, those are responsible for bad to happen to them, they also receive good. So why is the bracha of HaGomel unique in this type of language? So the Rebbe goes on, Nois Beis, this will be understood by what he examines in the Maimer titled Suyudechem Kodesh, as we enumerated yesterday, where that Maimer was in the series of four Mamorim connected with Yud Beis Tammuz. The Tzarech Lahav, we need to understand, Haloi Kol Bracha Yim Shem Havai. Every bracha comes from Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei is in general the source of brachas. If there's a rare occasion, like by Yitzchak's bracha to Yankov, that it came from Shem Elokim, so that's actually a wonder. That's actually something that's out of the ordinary that we usually question and say, how come and why is that so? Where do we see that the brachas come from Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, like it says, Yivarech Havai Mitzion, that Havaya should give you a bracha from Tzion. V'chsiv Yivarech Havaya, in Birchas Kohanim it says, Havaya should bench you, Yair Havaya, Havaya should illuminate, Yisa Havaya, Havaya should forgive. V'imkein Mau Inyan U'Baruch was Havaya. What's the idea? That we have to make a bracha of Havaya. Shetzrichim levarich Hashem Havaya. We need to give a bracha to Shem Havaya. The brachas come from Havaya. What is it that we are giving? And we are giving a bracha to Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. And the Friedrich Rebbe explains the idea avoid liyos suyidechem through the avoid of raising up and coming to a level of raising up the hands. What does it mean, raising up the hands? So, like he explains the conclusion of Maimer, the Ikar Avodah, the main Avodah is Lahalos Sayadayim Shema Midos, the Madregas Kodesh, to elevate the hands, which is the Midos. As we know, we say this every Friday in Pascal, Yo, Chesed Roi, Yeminok, Gvurot Roi, Smolo. Chesed is the right arm, Gvurot is the left arm. So, Su Yedechem, we are raising up the Midos. Where are we raising up the midas? B'madregas kodesh, to the level of holy. The kodesh, kodesh is its own separate word. Shubechinas chachma. That's the level of chachma, being that it's the highest of the 10 spheres, and kodesh is not like kodesh. Kodesh is descriptive of something else. Kodesh is its separate word, meaning it has no connection. It's not descriptive of something else. It's just holiness itself. That goes on the highest sphere on Chachma. So when you raise up the midas to the level of Chachma, we draw down, we give a bracha into Havaya. We bring in Havaya a hamshach. Lahamshach tesefes or v'gilu b'shem Havaya the lasata, to draw down an additional light and a revelation in Yud Kei Vav Kei of below. Like the Friedrich Rebbe explains in the conclusion of his Maimer, Shebarch was Havaya. What does it mean to give brach, to be mamshich into Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei? I knew Sheyeh Gilu Shem Havaya ba'olam. There should be the revelation of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei in this world. When Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei becomes revealed in the world, so then there's an additional oir comes down in Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yesh Leimer b'derech Efshar, the Rebbe says we could say possibly Shazel al derech mashakasav ve'emes Havaya la'olam. It says the truth of Havaya is, in the simple sense, la'olam means forever, but over here, he means it in the way of la'olam, to the world, for the world and to the world. What does that mean? This means through the drawing down the revelation into the world. Nimshach mizgal emes Havaya is drawn down, becomes revealed the truth of Havaya. What's the level of the truth of Havaya, specifically that term? That is Shizeu Inyan Havaya de la'ela. That's the higher level of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shazel tesefes oir b'shem Havaya de l'sata. That means that we're drawing down the emes Havaya, the Havaya de la'ela, the higher level of Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, into the Havaya de l'sata, the lower level of Yud Kei Vav Kei, when it's la'olam, when Yud Kei Vav Kei comes into the world. That's what it means. U'baruch was Havaya. We need to draw down. We need to make a bracha. We need to be mamshech into the lower level of Yud Kei Vav Kei from the higher level of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Va'oz yivarecha Havaya del el. It says Su Yedechem Kodesh U'baruch was Havaya. And then, once you have a Baruch was Havaya, you have the level of Havaya de la'ela coming down to Havaya de l'sata, then Havaya de la'ela will give you the brach. Top of page Zayin. Va'bracha hi mitzion. And the bracha is from Tzion. Shehi, what is the level of mitzion? He says, Yivarecha Havaya mitzion, Yivarecha Hashem mitzion. What is this mitzion that the Havaya is the bracha? Ubesiyim HaMaimer, and the conclusion of Maimer explains, Shemizgala nekudas hanashama bechinas yichida. Tzion is referring to something that's outstanding, that's essential, that's core. And therefore it's referring to the essence, the core of the neshama, the level of yichida. And that is the ultimate thing. Yivarecha Hashem Mitzion, that the cord and Neshama becomes revealed. And then when that takes place, Asher Oz Tushlam HaKavona Amitis the Oise Shemayim V'Aretz, like it says further in the pasuk, Yivarecha Hashem Mitzion, Oise Shemayim V'Aretz, that when there is this bracha of Avaya from Tzion, so then there is the making, the true Kavana, which is the maker of heavens and the earth. What does that mean? That Ubesiyam HaMaimer, in the conclusion of that Maimer, says, V'nishlam al Yodai, and through him becomes fulfilled a Kavana al Yoina, the intention of above, Sheyeh Gili Oir Ba'olam, there should be a revelation of light, of godliness in the world. Ois Gimel. So this is very like Nikudasdik, if you will. There's a lot of just points without really giving it a full elaboration, explanation, and that's obviously what the Rebbe is going to go on now to help us out with and explain. We need to explain initially the idea of the name Yudke Vavke. Concerning the name Yudke Vavke, it says we have to bench, we have to draw down godliness, revelation, light in Yudke Vavke. The idea behind this is, it's known, there are two ways how Hashem runs the world. Hanhagya Tivis, the natural way of running the world. Shehi mitzad Shem Elokim, that is from Shem Elokim's perspective. Begimatria Teva, as we know, the name Elokim is the same numerical equivalent as the word HaTeva. Vanhagya Nisis, and then there's a miraculous way how things run in this world. Shehi mitzad Shem Havaya, that's a result of the name Yudke Vavke. Molshoin Hoya Hoy V'yeh Ki Echad, out of the expression that the Yudke Vavke is a combination of the three words, meaning was, is, and will be. And since they're combined in one word, that means that the past, present, and future are all as one, which compressing time that way or transcending time that way shows on a beyond nature type of revelation. And therefore, L'mayla min nazman, it's beyond time, and which is time is Gedra Olam. One of the definitions of the world is that it's made up of time and space. The fact that time is not a factor over here, that means we're dealing with something that's beyond time, beyond the world. And therefore, when Havaya comes into play, it doesn't deal with the world in a natural way, it deals with the world in a supernatural way. In this supernatural way that the world runs through Shem Yudke Vavke, and this is included Gam Shem Avaydal Sata, also the lower name of Shem Yudke Vavke, Shagam Hu Nikra Havaya Milshain Hoy V'yeh. Even the lower Yudke Vavke is also a combination of the letters that make up the words Hoya, Hoyva, and Yeh. And therefore, also there, it transcends nature and runs the miraculous. Yesh loymar, that we could say, Shazel Mashu Nimshach Mishem Havaya Hanhaga Nisis B'Shem Elokim Hanhaga Tivis, that the lower level of Yudke Vavke bridges and draws down the supernatural of Shem Havaya into the natural of Shem Elokim. Similar to what the Chazal say, initially Hashem wanted to create the world with a midah of severity, judgment, constriction. Like it says in the beginning, Hashem created, what was the name that Hashem used to create? Name Elokim. And so too for the rest of creation, 32 times, it only mentions the name Elokim, which indicates severity, constriction, limitation, concealment. Rosh Einoilam Miskayim, the Medrash goes on and says, he saw that the world cannot exist only by Shem Elokim. Shitafim Amidas Harachmim, he partnered with Shem Elokim, the midah of mercy and compassion. After the creation was concluded, it says in the day that Havaya and Elokim made the earth and the heavens, which indicates that there is also the Havaya brought into it, which in the context of this medrash, means mercy. We'll soon explain how that has to do with the miraculous working together with nature. So that the Alter Rebbe explains, what is this idea of shitif imay midas harachmim? Like it's explained in Sharich v'Amunah bin shitif imay midas harachmim concerning partnering and adding the midah of mercy and compassion into the creation, means instead of being severe, constricted, limited, and concealed godliness totally, by adding midas harachmim, by adding shem havaya, we allow for glimpses of godly revelation as well. It's the idea of the revelation of godliness that takes place both through tzaddikim and signs and wonders that's in the Torah. These are different times when Shem Havaya manifests itself in the world in Shem Elokim. That is the Shitif Imay Midas Harachmim, to allow for certain places of revelations of godliness. Top of page Ches. Ubechlolas Inyan HaTorah Mitzvahs. In general, this manifestation of something that's outside of this world, in the world, in the limitations of the world, that's the idea of Torah mitzvahs that were brought to bear over and upon the world. This is the general difference between mitzvahs and Torah, as we'll soon say, how one is limited and one transcends the world. There are those that are dependent upon time and place. As opposed to Torah, it's beyond time and place. Where do we see that it's beyond time and place? Like Chazal say, whoever is involved in the Torah study of the laws of the carbon oila, it's considered as if he offered an oila. Now, to bring a carbon oila, you only can do it in a certain place, a certain time, a certain person, only a kohen, only in the Beis HaMikdash in Eretz Yisrael, only in the times of the Beis HaMikdash. But over here, the Torah study doesn't have those constrictions. Gamim ain't a kohen, even if he's not a kohen, and he's outside of Eretz Yisrael, it's still considered as if he brought the carbon oila. So we see how powerful Torah study is in regards to transcending the limitations of this world. The difference between Torah versus mitzvahs, that mitzvahs is limited and Torah transcends the limitation of the world. It's close avoid general avoida. The difference between the avoida with all your heart, with all your soul. She avoida shall pitam v'das bedugim sanhagativis avoida according to reason and knowledge, similar to a natural type of way of running the world. La avoida b'chol ma'idach to avoida with all your might. Bedugim sanhagas. This is similar to the miraculous type of way of running the world. So, in other words, with all your heart, with all your soul, this is still a limited, this is still to a certain degree not breaking out of all the barriers. But as we know, Chassidus always speaks about that the avodah b'chol ma'idecha, with all your might, means ma'od, means without any limitations, without any boundaries. So therefore, the avodah b'chol ma'idecha is like the hanhaga nisis, miraculous, transcendent, out of this world, Hashem Havaya, whereas b'chol nafshcha is the avodah having to do more with Shem Elokim. Concerning this, it says, that's the general idea of one service. There should be a revelation of Yud in the world. That means the world on its own is from the name Elokim, Begimatria Teva Kanal, the numerical equivalent of Hateva, like we said before. Shemaylam Master al Shem Havaya, that the Shem Elokim is something that conceals and covers on Yud Kei Vav Kei so we have to draw the Havaya into the world. We have to reveal in the world that which transcends the worlds. That the word olam is related to the word concealment and covering. That conceals and covers godliness. And the avoid is to refine the sparks of holiness that fell in worldly matters, and to elevate them to their source and to their root. Through this, we remove the concealment and covering that's a result of the name Elokim. We affect that the lower name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei should shine down here below. Any questions?
Wasn't this one of the ideas in the Tanya about a few weeks ago?
Continuing on the top of page Tes, Ois Dalet. By days it Shepoilim Gilu Shem Havaya Ba'olam, through affecting the revelation of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei in the world, Nasa Tesefes Oir B'Shem Havaya becomes an additional light in the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. The idea behind this is it was explained previously. The Rebbe is referring to a Maimer previous to this Maimer that we didn't learn from the year Tafshin Chavav, from Yud Beis Tammuz Tafshin Chavav. Shetachlis HaKavanahi, that the ultimate purpose is, the ultimate intention is, there should be the service of refining the spark, specifically down here below. That's the idea of the earth and dust of Yaakov. This actually relates to the Ramon that we've been learning previously as well. That's why mitzvahs are called Afar Yaakov, because the whole idea of mitzvahs is dealing with the earth and dealing with the physical. This is also what it says in the chapter of Tehillim, that they began saying that Yud Beis Tammuz in Tafshin Chavav, because the Frierdiker Rebbe was born on Yud Beis Tammuz Tafresh Mem. So in Tafresh Chavav, that would have been the 87th capital, if I'm correct. So this is capital, Peizayin. It says over there, Oyhev Hashem Sha'ar Tzion Mikol Mishknos Yaakov. Hashem loves the gates of Tzion than all the dwellings of Yaakov. So what is this referring to? What's the David HaMelech's meaning behind this in Tehillim? Chazal explained what is the meaning of this pasuk. Hashem loves those gates that are outstanding in halacha. That's why they're called Tzion. Tzion is again something outstanding, something that is something great and unbelievable, extraordinary. More so than the shulin and even the yeshivas. So the question is, what's the difference between those different types of dwellings? So he says in line 11, Shachiluk b'neim hu, the difference between them is limud ha'Torah beis ha'medrash yachal is b'shakla v'tari bilvad. Torah study in a yeshiva could be in a way of just a discussion. It's a give and take, but there's no final resolution. Like many yeshivas these days, there's no it's not primarily focused on halacha. Yes, they might devote half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour a day to halacha, but the majority of the day they are invested in just the back and forth of the discussion of the Gemara. The loy maskanos halacha, without coming to the conclusion of the halacha. V'gam kasher boil maskanos halacha, even when they do come to the conclusion of the halacha, reizi yachli is boy from she'elu ve'el divrei Elokim chayim, could still be in a way of just saying that, that there are two opinions and they're both the words of the living God, and there's no conclusion who the halacha is like when we'll learn Mishnayos. You learn Mishnayos, Mishnayos is called halachas. It says this person says this person says that, but there's no final resolution about who we follow. So he says, as opposed to the gates that excel in halacha, it's the idea of the ruling and the actual halacha in action, what to do. Like explained in the Hemshech Vamarim of the year Tavrish Samach Vav, when is this so? This takes place when the study is with fear of heaven and out of devotion. To focus on the truth of, to focus and to reach to the truth of Torah. That's his devotion. His devotion is to come to the final conclusion of the halacha. Because he knows this matters how the person is going to act, so therefore he does it with the complete gravitas and importance and weight and yir shemayim, because I need to come to a conclusion of what to do, and I don't want to chas shalom do something wrong. And this brings out much deeper soul powers and much greater energy and much deeper wisdom than if a person is just learning a sugya but without the need to actually rule on it halacha l'poil. That's the Rebbe Rashab says in Tavrish Samach Vav. But spiritually, why is that higher? Why is that extraordinary? Why is that higher than any other type of learning? The reason for this is because the avoid in actuality, in refining the sparks, it's the ultimate purpose of the creation, it's the ultimate intention of creation. Why does it say it was evening, it was morning? The sixth day with a hey, hayidiyah. All the other days it says Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi, Yom Revi. It doesn't say Yom HaSheni, Yom HaShlishi. When it comes to Friday, it says Yom HaShishi. Hey, you say to Lamali. Why is there an extra letter hey with the word the sixth day, the definitive article? This teaches us that Hashem made a condition with the creation and told the creation, if Yidden will accept the Torah, then you, the creation, will remain and exist. When it says that it will be evening and morning of the conclusion of the creation, it's dependent upon the well-known sixth day, the special sixth day that speaks about in a different place. What's the special sixth day? That's the 6th of Sivan that Torah was given. So the Rebbe asked, well, even prior to Matan Torah, Avram was an elder, meaning a sage, and was sitting learning. So to Yitzchak Yaakov, from the days of our forefathers, Torah study never ceased from them. But the idea behind this is, by the forefathers, there was a spiritual avodah. As opposed to Matan Torah, it was something new that should be the effect of the Torah and the physicality of the world specifically. That's the ultimate purpose of creation. So that's why the world was not sure of its existence until the Torah was given, because the Torah would then, by Matan Torah, impact the physical world. Since the ultimate purpose is the avodah of refining the spark specifically down to below. Therefore, it comes an addition and an increase only when we engage in the world, and we deal with halacha, which has to do with the practical part of Torah. Chazal teach like Gol Yisrael that Yidden went into exile only so that converts should be added to them. And converts doesn't just mean literal converts, but it also means converting the sparks of the world into Kedusha. Until we even affect that the dust of Yankov will be beyond even number, that we say, Who can count the dust of Yankov, the earth of Yankov, because it's way higher than Seder Ishtalshalos?